Good morning, first grade friends. We are here with Unit 8, Session 1 of Math, and this is our last unit. And it's about changes, and you will see how we make changes now. Grandma's picnic baskets. We have a story today. Here, Grandma's picnic basket. You've probably seen a basket like this. And what do people do with it? Yes, we take picnics. And has anyone ever taken a picnic lunch in the park? I know Addison and her family did a picnic in their living room this time. So maybe you can do that as well. Grandma's picnic basket. Sarah and her little brother Sammy were spending the week in the country with their grandma. The two children were bored and they had played every game and read every book in the house, and they couldn't think of anything else to do. Finally, Grandma said, "Sarah, why don't you go upstairs in the attic? I think you'll find my old picnic basket up there somewhere. You and Sammy can pack a nice lunch in that basket and take it out under the big tree for a while. But you know where to find I'm going over to the neighbor's house for a while. But you know where to find everything you'll need in the kitchen, right? Right, Grandma, I'll take care of it." So Sarah ran upstairs to the attic. It was hot and dark and dusty, but Sarah was determined to find the basket. And finally, she looked everywhere and she finally found it in a corner under a pile of old blankets. She grabbed it and ran back down the stairs, set it on the kitchen table, and started to make sandwiches. Sammy came running into the kitchen. "What's that, Sarah?" "It's a picnic basket. I'm packing a lunch for us to take down to the big tree. I already put a peanut butter sandwich in there for you. Can I see?" And without waiting for Sarah's reply, Sammy lifted the lid and peered into the basket. "How come there are two peanut butter sandwiches in there? I thought you didn't like peanut butter." Sarah frowned. "I don't like peanut butter, and I only put one sandwich in there." "But come look, there are two sandwiches in here." "I don't know what you're talking about, Sammy. Here, put these two apples in the basket, will you?" Sammy took the two apples from Sarah and put them in the basket. He closed the lid and waited a moment. He had a funny feeling about this basket. So he opened the lid again, and he saw not two, but four apples sitting inside. Some of you might be noticing what the change is. Let's see what happens here. He grabbed some of the napkins that were sitting on the table. He counted them carefully, 1, 2, 3, and put them into the basket, closed the lid, and opened it again. Anybody have any guesses about how many? There, he reached slowly inside and carefully and took the napkins out and counted them again, and there were 6 of them. Sarah said, "This is really weird," he said. "What are you talking about?" Sarah whirled around and saw 2 sandwiches, 4 apples, and 6 napkins sitting on the table next to the basket. "What are you doing? Where did that stuff come from?" "It's this basket. It makes more things. If you put something in, you get more out." So we have some changes. So Sarah glanced over at the counter and saw 4 oranges in the bowl. She put them in. She grabbed the bowl, dumped the oranges in the basket, and closed the lid and slowly opened it again and pulled out 8 oranges. Sammy ran out of the kitchen to get back and came back with 5 of his favorite Matchbox cars. "Let's see if it works with these things you don't eat, like my toy cars." So he dropped the little cars into the basket, closed the lid, waited for a second, and opened it again, and started pulling one car out after another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think he counted to? How many toy cars do you think Sammy pulled out of the basket? Let's take a look. Do you notice some patterns? So when the children put 1 sandwich in, 2 sandwiches came out. When they put 2 apples in, 4 apples came out. 3 napkins in, 6 napkins out. 4 oranges in, 8 oranges out. 5 toy cars in. That would be what? 10. Do you notice some patterns happening here? What do the numbers in each row compare to each other? So 1 and a 2 and a 4, a 3 and a 6, a 4 and an 8. I also noticed some patterns happening down the columns too. If you said that each of them were doubling, you were right. So, does it make sense that Sammy would have pulled 10 cars out of the basket? Why or why not? I think that's right. Yes, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sammy pulled 10 cars out, 10 toy cars in all. It works, Sarah. It works with toys. What if we put something alive in there? And Sammy pulled the basket down onto the floor. He opened the lid and started to step into it. Uh-oh. Stop, yelled Sarah. Don't you dare get into the basket. One of you is more than enough. Shut that lid right now. We have to think about this before we put anything else in. Sarah stared out the window, trying to figure out what to do. Meanwhile, Sammy slipped out the back door and returned with an armful of kittens, 10 to be exact, wrapped up in a blanket. The 2 mother cats trotted along behind them, concerned about their babies. I think I would be concerned too. If Sammy puts 10 kittens into the basket, what will happen? How many kittens will come out of the basket? And how do you know? So let's take a look. Here's our chart again. We had 5 toy cars, and out came 10 toy cars. And now, if he puts 10 kittens in, I sure hope he doesn't, but if he puts 10 kittens in, how many kittens do you think will come out of the basket? Wow, just then, Grandma stepped into the kitchen. At that very moment, she took one look at the sandwiches, apples, napkins, oranges, and toy cars scattered all over the kitchen table. Sammy holding that blanket full of kittens over the open basket, and Sarah, who was screeching at Sammy to stop, and started laughing. Grandma's laughing at all this. She took the blanket out of Sammy's arms and set it gently on the floor. She sat down, pulled Sammy and Sarah into her lap, and said, my, what a time you've had while I was gone. I always wondered if that old doubling basket would really work. You mean this isn't the picnic basket? Cried Sarah. No, honey, I should have gone to the attic with you. The picnic basket is hanging up on the wall, probably too high for you to see. My grandma gave me this doubling basket. Whoops. My grandma gave me this doubling basket many years ago. She told me to keep it safe, but not to use it unless I absolutely had to. It's been in our family for more than 100 years, and so far, we've never needed to use it. I guess I should have found a better place to hide it. That sounds like a story we've read. Remember the runaway walk? And the boy eventually was able to make rice flow into the streets. Grandma's picnic baskets. We have some questions. Why is this basket called a doubling basket? Think about that word doubling. Comes from the word double. Why do you think Grandma told her not to use it unless she had to? When might a family need to use a doubling basket? And how would you use the basket to help your family or friends? I think those are some great questions in the situation that some of us are in right now. So let's take a look. Grandma's picnic basket. We had that in number and that out number. So if we were to put 10 kittens in, we would get 20 out. We would double that 10, meaning 10 plus 10, just like our doubles facts. Now let's take a look at a couple of other problems. If we were to put 20 bananas in, how many bananas would we get out? Remember, we would have to double that number, so we would do 20 plus 20. Can you figure that out? And how about if we were to do 100 frogs? Oh my gosh, 100 frogs. And we doubled it. How many frogs would come out of the basket? Again, remember, if we double this number, we would do 100 plus the same number, 100. I would not want to be around all those frogs. So, friends, it suggests that we make a class book and it shows a couple of examples. If we were to put 6 cookies into the basket, how many cookies would come out of the basket? And then we could do on the back side a doubles fact that would match. So, you can pick a number between 6 and 30. And if you want to try making an in out page, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have finished our lesson for today. If you get a chance and can make some in out problems, that's fine. In the next few days, you are going to be asked to do some of those things. So, have a great day, friends.